Welcome back everyone. Quickly, let's continue our discussion on HTML form attributes. So right here, the form attributes in HTML input element. The form attributes specified the form the input element belongs to. Once again, the form attribute in our input element specifies the form the input element belongs to. So I'm going to show you how this works quickly. The value of this attribute must be equal to the ID attribute of the form element it belongs to. So I'm going to show you how it works back to our code. As you can see, we are having this in our previous tutorial. As you can see, we are having different type of things. We have discussed about we are having our HTML input types playlist and our HTML form. You can check our playlist to find different type of input types you can use, and input attributes we have discussed about it so far. So right here now we want to discuss about let's create another legend. This is another chapter entirely. Let's quickly create a field set. No, I don't need a legend here. I want our document to I don't want our document look rough, so let's create something new again. Let's give our element here a br. Immediately after the br, let's create field set. Inside this field set, let's create legend. So legend is going to have top 10 strength. What do we have here? The chapter is form attributes in HTML input element. This is a new playlist. You can check the playlist to be able to follow along. So I'm going to have this right now. So now let's create a label. Let's break this first. I like when my document is looking nice. Let's give this br here, and now let's create a label. The label for the for an input. The label for an input. Let's create an input. Let's create an input. Let's call it user. So let's just call it user form attribute in HTML input. So we'll call this chapter. So now let's create our input element itself and give this a form attribute, and also let's give it br times 2, so this can look reasonable. Br again, let's just leave it in that manner. Let's carry this fit set and its all property. Let's go and place it outside of our form. I'm going to see some magic right here. This is a new chapter entirely. Let's place this outside our form. Let's save our document first. I just want to show you something. So right here, as you can see, we are having this top form attribute in HTML input element. It's a playlist, so where you can check. So we are having our playlist form attribute in HTML input element. So right now, anything we write inside here, we want it to work along with this complete form we are having at the bottom right here. So how can we do that? Definitely, let's say when we write anwar akorede ayofe inside our input right here, the form attribute in input, so in input element in HTML input. So let's say this one now, this the form, when we submit our, so immediately, one thing I want you to notice is that immediately when we submit our form right here, the form at the bottom right here, let me turn this to another thing entirely, so you can be able to feel this very well, because this is a great topic. I need to explain in a reasonable manner. Let's create our form. This is a form, right? Let's create in dot php. Let's just call it in dot php. Inside our form right here, we can have several inputs, and we can have our submit button, input type of submit. Let's have our submit. So right here, this is one form entirely, right? And let me bring another form right here. This is another form entirely at the bottom, right? So this form right here, now we want it, when we click submit inside our form right here, let me bring this one to the top so you can be able to recognize them. This one is a form at the top, this one is an input field at the top, but we don't have submit button in it. As you can see, this is a form entirely. Let's save our document. Let's see how it looks first. Yes, let's reload our document. I don't want this one to direct me to this place again. Let me go and remove the autofocus. Find autofocus, focus, and I want to remove this autofocus because I don't like when it's taking me to the bottom of the file. So now it's good, it's okay now. Let's now say right here I wrote anwar akorede inside this place. Let's break our form. Let's come back to the top. I don't want this to get confused, you guys. So let's create er times 2 so you can see this clearly. Come back here, right here. This is another form entirely. So let me create a field set for it so you can know that this is another form entirely. This is a field set. Inside this our field set we have legend. We call this main form, right? So this one right here is going to be inside this our main form. I'm purposely doing all this for you guys because I want us to focus to understand this very well. We are coming from the beginners to the advanced level, and we are getting to the advanced level gradually, so don't you forget. So as you can see, this is another form entirely. You can create a form also, or we may not create a form, but I just purposely create the form like that so you can be able to understand. So this one is not having anything, right? But let's say we now specify id. Let's say we want to take an input from this form we created at the top right here, because this form at the top right here is not having any action that will take the form. Let's remove the action there. I want you to recognize it, and this one is having action and it's having index.php file. This one is the one is having index. Let me call it index.php file that is going to run our script. So this one is having submit, but this one is not. This form up here is not having submit. So let's see the magic, the tricks in this. Let's save our document. Let's reload. Now we are having this form. Let's say we write something here. Before we write something, don't forget to put your name. This name is important. Let's just write a KK, and let's write KK. Let's be identified. Let's add second. Let's call this second input, and let's call this main input. This This name is not needed here. This is a submit button. This name is needed here. So I want you to recognize what I'm doing. I will delete all this so you can recognize it clearly, so you can understand what I'm talking about. I want to simplify this for you guys. We don't need this ID for now. We only need the name and the type of the input, and we need this form, but we haven't used the form yet. So what we want to be able to do inside our, as you can see, we are having two input right here. This is the first input and this is the second input that is taking text, input type of text, input type of text, as you can see. But this one is submit. This one is having submit input and this one is not having the submit. But what we want to do is that when we click this submit button, it should be able to submit whatever we specify inside this form, also inside this second input. So that's what we want to be able to do. So let's reload our document first. Let's write anwar. Let's write main. Let's write second. Let's submit. It will not go. Can you see? We are able to see the main. The main is taking something, right? But the second, we are not. Here is the main input, right? The value is coming from the main input, which is this, the main input, which is this one, right? Now let's say we want to take the value from the second input. That's where the form attribute comes from. Now you are going to specify it. You are going to say, you are going to give it a name. Let's give it first. Let's just give it first like that. And the ID right here, the value, this form first you are having here, it must the main. Let's call it main. Let's specify main there. So inside this our form right here, let's give this our form ID of main, so that whenever we submit a form right here from our main form, it's going to take the input from this other input also that specify our name, that is having form of main right here. So now let's reload our document and see where the magic comes from. Let's say main. We write main inside this one. Let's write main, and this one let's write. Let me give. I think this one is having, yes. Let's reload our document first. And this one we are having main, right? And this one let's write second. Now let's submit our form. Let me reload first. Let's submit. Can you see the magic? We are able to read data from our second input from another form entirely, and we are able to read our main input, which is our main place where we are having the submit button. I don't think you are getting the point. It's very sensitive. So definitely, let's say you have this input right here now outside. Let me remove all this decoration I gave it. Let me remove the form I gave it. Let's say you are having this input outside. This input right here, you are having it outside like this, and it is not inside our form. It's not inside our main form. Something here. So definitely everything from this input right here is going to come out. I'm trying to make this thing look much better. So I do it ups and down, so you can be able to understand what I'm talking about. Let's say now this is an input outside the box, outside our form element. As you can see, our opening and closing form element is here, and we are giving it ID main. And this label and the input right here is outside our form element. As you can see, this is where it's supposed to be, but we don't want it to be there. So we just want it to carry the input from outside. So that's why we now specify form of main. That is, any input we write here should be going inside this main form. So when we click submit button right here, it will be able to pack this input for us together. It's like picker. It will pick this form that is outside. It will pick the input that is outside. Now let me reload our document so you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see again? I've rearranged it. This is the first one, right, which is the main, and this is the second one, which is the sec. When we submit it, it will take this one, this input right here, that is not inside our main form. It will take it along. Now when we submit it, you will be able to see the main, and you'll be able to see the sec. So let's submit. Can you see? We are able to see the sec, which is from the second input, and the main from the main input. So definitely, if this main AI here is not in our form right here, it will never work. Let's remove it. Let's remove it so you can understand what I'm talking about. Let's come back to our document, reload it. When we submit, when we write sec again, and we write something here and submit, can you see we are able to take only the main input, but where is the second input? We want to take it. So the reason why we can be able to take the second input is because this second input is having form attribute, which is specifying the main. So let's now give it id. Let's give our main form id. Let's give it main. Okay, I want to be the elder, so it's like boss and slave. So now when we submit it, we carry it. Can you see? It's able to take the main input and the second input. So that is the benefit of using the form attribute in our input. This, let's say for instance now you don't use this. When we submit again, our input will not take it. Can you see? Our main input don't take it because it's not telling us that we are the boss. So it has to tell us that we are the boss. So you go to the input is going to tell us that form main, because we want the form main to take responsibility of the input. So now when we save our document and reload, the main form is going to be the boss. Can you see now? The main boss is taking along with, is going along with the second input is going along with the main input. That's what I want to show you guys. And make sure that any name you specify is not different to the name inside this id of the main. Let's reload our document also. If not, it will not work. Let's submit it again. Can you see it's not working? Now let's change our main name also to ma, so that the form value is the same as the id value. So let's reload our document now. It's going to work. This is so advanced. So let's submit our document now. Can you see? Now it's working. So that's what I want to show you guys. Make sure you practice, because practice makes perfect. Anwar Akorede is my name. I wish to see you guys next time. Have a great day, and to the next tutorial. Bye bye. Thanks.